Believe this story when it broke late today. Truly out of this world. It's hard to think of anything that, frankly, is more significant than this tonight. According to what is now an explosive expose in the publication The Debrief, a former Intel official turned whistleblower has given Congress and the Intel community inspector general extensive classified information about deeply covert programs that he says possess retrieved and intact and partially intact craft of non-human origin. Now, this whistleblower is not some kook. His name is David Charles Grusch, and he's a decorated former combat officer in Afghanistan, as well as a veteran of the National Geospatial Intel Agency and the National Reconnaissance Office. Now, it was in that office where he served as the representative to the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. Here he is in his own words.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will. It's probably not the right parlance, but no kidding, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
Are they electric vehicles? No. But like other whistleblowers we've heard from of late, the government bureaucracy will undoubtedly try to discredit Mr. Grusch's account. But anticipating the fallout, he's warning that such ongoing government denial of this 80-year arms race, what he calls it, would be extremely dangerous for mankind, inhibiting our ability to be prepared for an unexpected non-human intelligence contact scenario. Joining us now is Ryan Graves, a former F/A-18 Super Hornet pilot for the Navy, who says he came across these types of aircraft. Ryan, I was stopped today in everything I was doing when this came out late today. But do you agree this is, at this point, about safety and our own national security at this point?
Oh, absolutely. It's never stopped being about our national security. What David has been able to do and the courage that he's been able to demonstrate coming forward, I think, are exactly what Congress was hoping for when they've enacted laws in the last National Defense Authorization Act in order to enable just this. Now,
what you saw when you were on the F-18, when you were piloting the F-18, describe for us specifically.
Certainly. We were flying out off the coast of Virginia Beach on a daily basis, and we started noticing on our radar, on our camera systems, and eventually our eyeballs, what appeared to be dark gray or black cubes inside of clear translucent spheres. These objects were typically anywhere between 250 and 350 knots and performing meandering maneuvers or even straight maneuvers upwards of supersonic. This actually lines up quite well with what Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office has recently communicated as being the most prevalent type of object that he's been seeing through his research. Spherical objects that travel anywhere from 0 to 2 Mach.
Now, Ryan, the government has slowly had to reveal that these are indeed unidentified objects, that they cannot, they can't say what they are, but they're not regular. But their justification, essentially, for not being forthright about this initially was national security, correct?
Certainly. Not from the angle of we're going to hide what's on our camera systems, but the fact that our cameras could perhaps see certain things or our radars could detect certain objects at certain ranges. That's typically the reason that's been explained why these videos and these images have been classified to the level they have been. I think
Ryan,
it remains to be seen.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to play a little bit more from this whistleblower, then I'll let you finish your thought there.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
Ryan, again, this is the kind of stuff people would just be waved off as a complete insane asylum person for even speculating about just, recently, a few years ago. But now it's like, oh, yeah, there's a lot of these. What is the average American supposed to think about the government's credibility on this issue, given now what we're discovering, albeit, belatedly?
Well, I think the average person right now just needs to sit and wait a little bit and see this process play out. David has provided a number of documents and pieces of evidence, to my knowledge, that Congress can then validate. And then they'll be in a position then to communicate that information to the American people. I truly believe that transparency is the only way this conversation is going to be resolved. And this is a great step forward in that direction.
Well, and certainly Congress has to be briefed on this regularly. I mean, you can't keep this information from Congress. I don't believe there's any justification for doing that. Ryan, I can't wait to find out more. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
For more on the whistleblower's allegations, Avi Loeb joins us now. He's a professor at Harvard and the head of the Galileo Project. We found the smartest man about these things in the country. He also runs Harvard's Black Hole Initiative. Avi, what is your reaction to these claims by the whistleblower?
Well, as a scientist, I'm guided by evidence. I want to see the evidence. I cannot just rely on hearsay. And I don't expect the government to release classified data because it will compromise the sensors that were used to find those things and other reasons that they keep it under secret. In fact, they not even release the information to other parts of government. We hear different voices from government. So the best path forward is actually for scientists to engage in figuring out whether we are alone or not by looking for objects near Earth, rather than wait for the government to give us the information, because the sky is not classified. Anything to do with the universe has nothing to do with national security.
Yeah.
It doesn't adhere to national borders, and it should be shared by all humans in an open way. So the way the government behaves on this matter, if they have information that something out of this world came to visit us, should be released to the public. If they don't want to do it, I will find it.
They should, Avi. And to your point, my colleague Jackie Heinrich asked the operative question there to the White House press secretary. Take a listen here.
This whistleblower report alleging that the U.S. military has been retrieving craft of non-human origin for at least several decades. Are we alone? And if we were not, would you even tell us?
I would refer that question to the Department of Defense and let them answer that question for you.
So, Avi, Jackie here. What I didn't hear in her answer was a yes to either question.
Right. Well, what do you expect from people dealing with politics? You wouldn't expect them to be transparent. You wouldn't expect them a straightforward answer that relies on facts, evidence, science. And for that reason, I'm engaged in the Galileo project that is aiming to collect data on objects in the sky. We already have an operating observatory. We are planning to make 5 copies of it in the coming months. And I'm going on an expedition to the Pacific Ocean to look for the relics of the first interstellar meteor that appeared as a fireball in 2014. And the government confirmed that it came from outside the solar system. It was tougher than all the space rocks that NASA cataloged, 272 of them over the past decade. And so it's possible that it was a spacecraft because it moved really fast. And we're going to find out. We're going to collect the fragments at borders.
Yeah. Avi, you wrote about this in a piece yesterday, this IM-1 fireball that you're going to go in search of, and we hope that you will shoot video and bring it here first if you find it. Let me ask you one final question. Do you believe that we are closer to learning from the government a definitive answer on whether or not there is extraterrestrial life?
Well, that depends whether they have collected, indeed, materials that indicate technological objects that came from other civilizations. It's very likely that such things exist out there. I don't think that we are privileged or unique. We just need to search for packages in our mailbox. And it's quite possible that the next State of the Union address will mention the state of the universe, where I very much hope the president will say, fellow Americans and Earthlings, we are not alone. If indeed there is such materials. If not, I'm going to find out my way, which is the scientific way, in an open fashion, without hiding anything. And I will report from the expedition on medium.com. I have a blog there, Avi Loeb, at medium.com. You can follow the results. If we find anything, you'll know about it.
We will be following it very closely. The head of the Galileo Project, Harvard professor Avi Loeb. Avi, thank you very much.
Thanks, Avi.
Thanks for having me.